what people don't know is the story behind sea moss or Irish moss is very interesting, because when sea moss started trending, the Irish moss started trending, people didn't really know what it is, but they wanted to try it because they heard everybody else was talking about it. And y'all gotta excuse me. Y'all gotta excuse me. I didn't get much sleep last night, so I'm looking kind of crazy right now. But a lot of people didn't know what sea moss was and Irish moss was, but they wanted to try it because they seen old videos of Dr. Sebi talking about it and stuff popping up about sea moss trending during COVID, how it can help them and how it's a good antiviral. And it became very trendy within the quote-unquote toxic conscious community and people just seeing it in general. But the story behind sea moss is, in the 19th century, the Irish, during the time where British was basically colonizing and oppressing the Irish people, they were going through a potato famine as well. They were going through a potato famine during the 19th century, and they were able to survive off of eating this ocean plant called sea moss, the Irish moss, that grew in the northern Atlantic Ocean, because it had all the minerals that they needed to be able to withstand the potato famine during that time. So it sustained them, kept them strong, kept them healthy, and they were able to get through that famine, really flourish through it. It just got labeled as a food from poverty, because of basically they couldn't eat what they wanted to normally eat, which was potatoes. They ate a lot of potatoes during that time. But I find it very ironic, because the same food that was labeled as a poverty-stricken food for people to eat is now one of the best foods that you can eat on this planet. Sea moss is literally one of the best things that you could eat, along with spirulina and bladderwrack and kelp and a lot of other ocean plants that are just so mineral dense, because ocean plants are a lot older than land plants. But there was a time where it was labeled as it being food for the people in poverty. But I think if the people in poverty learned so many things about themselves while they were in poverty, and they had access to a superfood that wasn't labeled a superfood yet, but it was a superfood. But then, while they were eating it, it was a impoverished food, because they didn't even realize that they might have been in poverty with going through a famine, but they weren't in poverty when it came to their health. They were literally on a fast that was cleansing their body and ridding their body of all the contaminants by way of going through a famine of what they usually like to eat. So now in present day, jumping timelines, Irish sea moss is sold all across the world now, not just in the Caribbean, not just for culture, but people all over the world know that they can get the essential minerals, vitamins, amino acid, and omega-3s from sea moss. And sometimes your poverty can lead you to prosperity. The things that you go through and learn while you think that you're in poverty can actually bring you more into the person that you're supposed to be. And some of the things that you were doing were not actually poverty-stricken, but they were mineral rich and rich, full of experience, and rich, full of emotional and environmental preparation for you to be the most beneficial being that you could be in the future. Sometimes what we think of, especially American poverty, American poverty is a joke compared to third world poverty, and what we think is poverty stricken is really not even true poverty compared to what other countries go through. But if we took the time to really understand what we learned during poverty, during going through stuff like living on top of siblings, not having anything to eat at the times that we were growing up, or not being able to pay our bills, lights getting turned off. If you really think about it, that same feeling of poverty is what turned us into the person that we are today, and it's our decision on if we're going to be prosperous within that person, or we're going to hold on to it with the poverty mindset. Or are we going to see that those same things that sustained us during poverty, of what we thought was poverty, is what we should still be holding on to today? Not the mindset, but the skills and the way we was able to maneuver through that we learned, the skills that we learned, the lessons that we learned, the emotional resilience that we was able, how we was able to endure, how we were able to come out of it and come out like, and still have a smile on our face all the way through it. We literally were cultivating a superfood within ourselves, we literally was cultivating our supernaturalism. Just like the Irish did during the potato famine, when they were eating the superfood, calling it a poverty food, and it became to be one of the most essential foods that we could eat on planet Earth. Of course, fruit, but we're talking ocean plants and nutrients and minerals. Literally having the ability to bond radiation, take inflammation out of the skin and body. It's just something to think about. As long as we don't keep the poverty mindset, but remember the mindset that we had that took us out of poverty. Poverty can be our prosperity.